Todd Rose, The End of Average, How We Succeed in a World That Values Sameness. Welcome to the intriguing world of The End of Average, How We Succeed in a World That Values Sameness by Todd Rose. As we dive into this summary, you'll learn how our society has long been obsessed with the idea of average, from grades in school to job assessments, in ways that ultimately limit our true potential. Find out how these dated concepts of using averages to define individuals, both physically and psychologically, fall short in capturing our true essence and capabilities. Furthermore, you'll discover modern approaches being taken by companies like Google and Microsoft to create workplaces that allow individual skill sets to thrive and contribute to our collective success.
The flaw in the average. Exploring the history and limitations of the concept of averages to measure human characteristics. From schools to job assessments, society has perpetuated the use of averages to measure human characteristics, leading us to question who the average person even is, and why this system was even started. The origins of this concept can be traced back to astronomer Adolphe Quetelet in the 19th century, who applied the mathematical concept of averages to human measurements as well. Quetelet measured physical and psychological characteristics of thousands of people and averaged out the results to define the ideal average man. However, the use of averages to measure people's characteristics has proven to be unsuitable, ultimately rendering the whole concept of averages irrelevant. The example of the average American family with 2.5 children shows how the majority of people almost always has different characteristics than what is considered average. Similarly, using average proportions of 15,000 women as reference led to the creation of Norma, a statue representing the ideal female figure. However, in a competition held by the Cleveland Plain Dealer newspaper in 1945, none of the 3,000 female contestants came close to matching all 9 measurements used to define Norma, revealing the limitations of averages to accurately represent human characteristics. Thus, the concept of average as a universal standard to measure human characteristics is flawed and should be reconsidered. Varied human body characteristics. The lack of a ready vocabulary for accurately describing people shows just how varied human body characteristics actually are. There is no single body type, and each different characteristic is mostly unrelated to any other. Words like small, medium, and large are fine for t-shirts, but when it comes to human body characteristics, averages simply don't work. The U.S. Air Force measured 140 dimensions of over 4,000 different pilots and used the average of these measurements to design their first-ever standard airplane cockpit. However, not one pilot fit the dimensions of the cockpit, proving that by using 140 dimensions, they were essentially ensuring their cockpit would fit no one. Nowadays, cockpits and vehicles are adjustable, allowing each individual to comfortably use the controls. Similarly, every wedding gown is adjusted according to the measurements of each bride. Misconceptions on human characteristics. Human character traits are not linked to intelligence, as the misuse of averages on human characteristics has led people to believe. Stereotypes like nerds are bad at sports and jocks aren't intelligent are baseless. Educational expert Benjamin Bloom's experiments prove that there is no relationship between the speed of learning and knowledge retention. Psychologist Kurt Fisher also discovered that the idea of a strict series of specific stages for a child's developmental path is baseless. The effectiveness of any given way of achieving a task depends on the individual, and any deviation from what's considered average should not be deemed abnormal. The fluidity of human behavior. People's behavior is not fixed and shifts according to context, leading modern companies like Google and Microsoft to create flexible working environments. By studying individuals' unique character traits, these companies create teams that encourage the development of unique and complementary skills. Emphasizing someone's talents rather than their standard credentials can lead to valuable talent that would otherwise be overlooked. Specificity, the key to hiring. Companies should prioritize specificity when hiring by looking for individuality and identifying the specific qualities and skills needed for the position. The standard model of hiring requirements based on grades and degrees should be replaced with unique methods, such as Zoho Corporation's Zoho University and IGN's No-Resume rule. By getting specific, companies can capitalize on an employee's unique combination of skills and find the kind of uniquely talented people they are looking for. Embracing individualism for extraordinary achievements. The book advocates against the notion of an average individual and encourages embracing individualism for extraordinary achievements. Examples of this include the U.S. military's decision to abandon average height requirements for pilots and educational institutions offering specific skills credentials in shorter programs. The author believes this shift towards individual-focused education and employment will lead to greater flexibility, skill, and ultimately, better opportunities for job seekers.
In conclusion, The End of Average shows us the limitations that result from measuring people by average statistics, especially when it comes to human anatomy and intelligence. The book explores the fluidity of our character traits and emphasizes the value of individualism. By moving away from the notion of averagarianism, we can embrace our inherent uniqueness and unlock our true potential. Innovative companies, education models, and flexible work environments that focus on individual skills and qualities are leading the way toward a future where everyone's unique talents contribute to the greater good. Embrace your own individuality and enjoy the journey to realizing your full potential.